Do you struggle with transitional zones in your voice and feel unsure about how to navigate between your head and chest voice? Do you get really frustrated when you sing in certain parts of your range because you feel like you lack options on dynamics or even the ability to choose which register to sing in on a particular pitch? I've definitely felt the frustration of all of these issues and suffered through the confusion about how to navigate the transitions in my own voice. And through really terrific training and some very solid voice science, I've been able to put together some very effective answers for myself that I will share with you today. Hey there, if you are new here, my name is Dan Calloway. I teach musical theater voice and vocal pedagogy at Boston Conservatory at Berkeley. 25 years of experience singing on equity stages and more than 15 years helping people get to work on Broadway, national tours, regionally, and around the world. And I'm very happy that you are here with me today. The first thing to understand about why vocal transitions happen is to get some clear and helpful information about how your vocal physiology works. You have the actual body of your vocal folds basically called the thyroarytenoid muscles that arise in the thyroid cartilage and attach at the arytenoid cartilages. These are the main body of your vocal folds, and they are very magical because they are what we call isometric tensors, meaning they can engage without shortening. So if I were to make a very robust sound, hey, ho, you can hear the engagement of the thyroarytenoid muscles. These muscles are engaged and vibrating when we are in what we call mode 1 or chest voice. Then you have other muscles that are in charge of stretching out the vocal folds into higher frequencies. Mainly, those are your cricothyroid muscles, and they sit on the front of your larynx, connecting the cricoid cartilage to your thyroid cartilage. And when those muscles engage, they pull the thyroid cartilage forward, causing it to tip and rock. And your vocal folds stretch longer and thinner, therefore vibrating at a higher frequency. It is the same acoustic law as if you are tightening any kind of vibrating string. The frequency will be higher when the string is tighter. Every human voice has a frequency zone at which the thyroarytenoid muscles, the body of the vocal folds, will want to go slack when a certain frequency is reached. So once the folds are stretched to a certain point, they'll want to let go and let the cricothyroid muscles, those muscles on the front of the larynx that move the thyroid cartilage, they'll want to let the cricothyroid muscles take over. So in my voice, that happens around like E to G4, about right there. If I let the folds do what the folds want to do, they will just switch right over and you'll get a thinner vibration, and the folds can continue to stretch into a higher frequency. So say if I take an O vowel, oh, so that's happening around there probably. Oh, yeah, around there. It wants to flip over into mode 2. So that itself is a vocal transition. My register is naturally wanting to shift from mode 1 chest into mode 2 head voice. All of the confusing language that we get around vocal transitions, and this word we like to use, passaggio, which literally means passage in Italian, comes from the desire to maintain a mode 1 engagement into the higher frequencies, or to make the transition from mode 1 to mode 2 sound seamless. That's often what we mean by passaggio. It has many different meanings, and different passaggi can happen in different places in the voice depending on tract shape. That's another video, but for the purposes of this video, what a lot of people are talking about is trying to maintain this sort of seamless transition from mode 1 into mode 2, or to maintain mode 1 in a balanced way in a place where mode 2 wants to take over. So this skill is something singers want because it gives us more options for color and expression. Also, when you hear a singer who can balance these muscles well, your thinners and your thickeners, that is, you can feel that there is a really exciting risk in the vocal production. You can feel that the balance is on a tightrope and that any moment it could flip over into mode 2. You can feel the engagement of the thyroarytenoid muscles balancing with the engagement of the cricothyroid, and your body can sense that there has to be a sharing of responsibility, and you can viscerally feel a muscular excitement in that vibration. That's why we find it so exciting to hear. This is why you feel a certain way when you hear Pavarotti sing the last notes of Nessun Dorma, or if you hear Ann Wilson sing the high parts of any of Hart's songs. Or a favorite theater vocalist of mine is Jessica Vosk, who is so adept at singing with terrific efficiency and vocal balance. So when you hear a singer who's able to balance and share the responsibilities of these muscles together with air pressure and vocal tract shaping, your whole body responds in this vibration of freedom and expression. And most of us who love to sing want to be able to access these options in our sound as well. So the first thing you need to do in order to begin to give yourself options when it comes to your vocal transition is to know where that transition happens. A good tool for this is just to sing a 3-note scale, and I think an E vowel or an oo vowel, those are really good for this because oo and E really love mode 2 head voice. So you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll start in a place where you are comfortable in your chest voice, and then you'll just sing these small scales very slowly and comfortably and move up slowly. You'll come to a point where your voice naturally wants to move from mode 1 over to mode 2, from your chest voice to your head voice. So just notice where that is and let it happen. You want to see what the body's natural desire is and what is this vibrational coordination that it wants to do. You want to see where it naturally wants to transition, because that's how you're going to know where you're going to employ some other levers in order to give yourself options when it comes to different sounds that you can make. So for me, like I said, my transitions around like this E to G area. So if I started around a B flat, I would just take an E or an oo vowel, E, and then I'll just keep moving that up, and then I'm gonna just let it transition where it wants to transition. E, I can feel it knocking on the door there. E, it can go either way. So here, if I'm C, D, E, if I really just let it do what it wants to do, that takes a little bit of will for me to keep it in mode 1. If I can easily let it flip over to mode 2 here, and then so on. And actually, you'll find coming down, well, I'll show you that in a second. Just notice where your voice just naturally, like if you just let it do, it's like, yeah, I think I'll just move over in the head voice here, yeah. So that's the feeling you want to cultivate. And you can hear that once my voice gets around F, F sharp, G, that's where it really wants to transition over into head voice. Even there on that D, it's like, what are we doing? So it's a very transitional spot, tricky zone. I've had a lot of pain and suffering in this area in my life. So from my understanding of musical history, this flipping over into mode 2 is what singers did a few hundred years ago. Say when Mozart was composing operas, it wasn't until a tenor singing Rossini decided that he wanted to bring mode 1 up higher that the expectations for this changed. And I believe, if I'm remembering my music history accurately, that people commented that this particular singer sounded like a dying cat when this mode 1 extension was attempted. But you know, you gotta give this singer credit. We had to have a pioneer. for this new vocal exploration, right? So if you're feeling like you're pretty new to finding where your transition is, or if you feel like you've had years of attempting to cement over your transitions, or you perceive that your voice has what you'd call a significant break, then actually it's really important for you to spend time getting to know this transitional zone just for what it is, and honoring your voice's desire to turn over from mode 1 into mode 2 at this point. It's important that you honor this and treat it with curiosity and compassionate awareness and understanding. It's when you get angry at your voice for not behaving the way you want it to, or making the sounds you want it to make right away, that problems really start to happen. Just think about how you feel if someone were to see you as a nuisance or a problem, or maybe a hurdle to what they want to accomplish, when you are just operating in your natural function as a person doing your best to help. I believe a lot of our muscular engagements that we label as tension or an inhibitor, often they feel this way when we get angry at them or try to get them to behave in a certain way. On the other hand, if we get curious about what our body is doing and just open up with some compassion, not needing to have an immediate answer, but just being willing to listen, then a whole world of possibilities opens up. And then you can begin to understand how your body is actually trying to help you. Even if the logic of your body isn't that acoustically beneficial, you actually start to meet it with some understanding, and then y'all can start to work together. This is actually a very important way of looking at yourself, no matter what kind of frustration you're dealing with. If you open up to the zone where you're sensing blockages or frustration, and you just open your heart with curiosity and say, I'm willing to understand more without the need to figure something out right away and make a spreadsheet out of it, then all kinds of possibilities for understanding open up. I've been doing this a lot in my life lately, and I've been very grateful for this practice. I say it to my students all the time, so I'm trying to practice what I'm teaching, and I am convinced that it's one of the main reasons God made me a teacher, was so that I would actually maybe learn the stuff myself. But yes, I want you to spend a lot of time just letting your voice turn over and getting acquainted with where your transition really wants to happen. It's only when you understand and embrace this that you can then start to let the thinners and the thickeners inside and outside of your larynx work together to discover different options for vibration and registration. And also move in different directions. See when your voice would like to transition to chest as you're coming down. So start in a mode 2 head voice a little higher, and then move down and see where the chest voice wants to take over. So you might notice that the chest voice wants to engage a little lower down than where the head voice wants to engage as you're moving up. It's also a great idea to move your mode 2 head voice down as far as you can. This creates balance and ease, and it also shows your vocal folds that they are capable of singing in different registers on the same pitch. If you train your folds to sing thin in a lower spot, then you're going to have an easier time adding thickeners when you're higher in a more subtle way. If all you sing in these lower frequencies is with your chest voice, then the thickeners are going to grab on a lot more abruptly than if you train your mode 2 head voice lower. So if you ever listen to a really good countertenor, you'll hear this wonderful training where they coordinate this really beautiful heady mix down into where a low chest would ring. I was always very impressed by one of my colleagues in grad school, Matthew Reese, who's a terrific countertenor who coordinated a really beautiful head-chest ratio down below where you would expect a tenor passaggio to occur. So that would be like, okay, so a demo of that would be, let's say if I give it around like F major. Ooh, ooh, ooh. See, it still wants to be in head voice coming down. Ooh, ooh. Now I feel a little tilt toward chest wanting to come in. Ooh, that's still mode 2. Ooh, middle C, it's wanting to sort of just come right down into comfy chest for me. Ooh, ooh. But see, you can bring mode 2 way low, like even down to F3. Ooh, keeping that head voice moving really low. So cultivating head voice low is really, really key. But that's a good exploration to start in mode 2, come down into mode 1, and see where mode 1 wants to take over. So that's step 1. And again, if you are feeling like you're new to discovering your vocal transition, or it's something that you've experienced a lot of frustration with, take your foot off the gas and just spend a good amount of time right here every day. And you will start to find that your relationship to your voice gets some love and understanding flowing. When you've got a good relationship and understanding of where your transitions are happening, then you can start to play with what happens when you're moving higher in your range and want to maintain some engagement in the thyroarytenoid muscles, therefore staying in mode 1 chest voice. So you're going to want to experience your voice as a stretchy, rubber bandy event. One big pitfall that singers stumble into is perceiving pitch and the voice in a kind of cubbyhole system, or like the piano keyboard, where pitches exist in these places or pockets that you then try to reach up and down for. It's very logical and supremely unhelpful for singing. I want you to really grasp and understand the physiological reality happening, which is your vocal folds inside your larynx are coordinating in different lengths and vibrating. Therefore, different frequencies are vibrating in your vocal folds. It happens inside your larynx and magically coordinates with your ear and your mind. It's a very stretchy, rubbery, malleable event. So for this next stage of getting more comfy with transitions, we're going to start to move ever so slowly into the place where your vocal folds naturally want to release any engagement from the thyroarytenoid muscles and loosen into a mode 2 head voice engagement. And we're just going to take it 1/2 step at a time, and you're going to get comfy with small steps. So let's say in my case, I'm noticing around E4, the transition is happening. If I do a simple 3-note scale on an OO vowel, it wants to flip from mode 1 to mode 2 from D to E. So it wants to stay in mode 2 coming down, yeah? What I want to do is to begin to give my voice options so that it knows I can vibrate this frequency either in mode 1 or in mode 2. So first, I'll slide the scale, allowing the transition. And then I'll change the vowel to ah, because ah supports remaining in mode 1 because of its acoustic shape. And then I'll slide the same scale, remaining in mode 1. Ah. So I went. Ooh, ooh, ah. Once you're comfy with sliding this, you can start to add distinct scale degrees, reminding yourself that the stretchy event you felt on the slide is still happening, just with more distinct coordinations by your ear, brain, and vocal folds. So I could change this over to just the major scale. So I can go. You can also practice using the span of the minor third, because that gives you just a 1/2 step at the top. So it's a little closer pitch relationship to play with and see the transitions. So you can go. Okay, I'll do my one. You can move those up. Then you can move this around and see how you do. So please remember that when your voice makes abrupt transitions, that is physiologically very natural and the expected function of the laryngeal muscles. Training the coordination to make smooth transitions takes time. So please give yourself the time to get to know your instrument. This is huge. If you really just stop, slow down, and take time to get to know your instrument with patience and compassion, it will save you so much time down the road. So much more time than trying to bang away and cement over and hide what you perceive as abrupt shifts. You've got to spend time and treat your voice with the amazing respect that such a miraculous mechanism deserves. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, it will help you so much if you just slow down, say, I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to get to know my instrument. So this is a good place to start. I will make a second video that will give you more steps, tools, and insights on why vocal transitions happen and how to navigate them by understanding what acoustic vowels do and how your vocal tract shape has a huge impact on what mode you're in. I'll also give you some more exercise and vocalese frameworks that you can add to help you out. So just a little bit more advanced and a little bit more intricate using chromatics and lots of other things that we can use to get you very flexible and give you lots of options in this transitional zone of your voice. If you want more right now, I have a whole framework of exercises to help you make friends with your mode 1 and 2 coordinations and to promote laryngeal freedom. You can grab that when you join my mailing list. So I'd love to have you there. I send emails every Monday, usually about how singing relates to overall life, healing, wholeheartedness, and general life satisfaction. And if you feel like you're just beginning to understand your mode shifts and what's going on with registration, you can get more clarity with this video about what exactly this thing people call a break is and how you and your voice can become much better friends. So check that out here and be on the lookout for the follow-up to this with more information and tools for you to navigate your vocal transitions. If you've got transition-specific questions, passaggio transition-specific questions, pop those in the comments, and I can also include those in this upcoming video. And most of all, please remember, there is only one you, and somebody needs to hear the story only you can sing. Love much. Now go sing.